There's been a ton of RE spin-off titles from the main series. Some of them were good, some of them were shit, and one of them was Resident Evil Gaiden. Take that for what you will. But I'm here to tell you that the best Resident Evil spin-off doesn't exist yet. I mean, you saw the title, right? I shouldn't need to tell you this again. So, I'm sure plenty of you out there have tried XCOM Enemy Unknown by Firaxis, or maybe its sequel. For the uninitiated, this is a turn-based strategy game series that centers around building up an elite team of soldiers to combat alien invaders. The catch is, if your little guys die under your command, well, they're dead. Like, dead. Don't know how else to say it. They're dead, Jim. Yeah, it's brutal, but also addictive. I mean, if you so choose, you're creating all of these soldiers yourself. Naming them, picking their nationalities, their class, writing their biographies, and customizing their appearances. It's easy to get attached. You're like a proud parent who sends all of their children to die horrible, gruesome deaths if you make the wrong move during combat. It's fucking awesome. You're not just taking part in combat missions. You're leveling up your main team, funneling in new recruits, researching new weapons, gear, and tech with which to drive back the invaders, and then deploying into combat zones across the globe. Important decisions must be made, including what parts of the world you should prioritize saving. These aliens are attacking multiple states and countries simultaneously, and all the whores and politicians shout, "Save us!" And I look down and whisper, "No." Sorry. My inner Rorschach came out again. All this black and white gets to you after a while. But anyway, all this is to say that I'd gladly make all this the jumping off point for my dream RE spinoff, with key differences. So this video is based on an idea I had years ago, and others have clearly had the same idea judging by a Reddit post I found, in addition to a crap ton of RE mods being made for XCOM 2 itself. So I'm in no way trying to call myself some kind of visionary. In fact, I'm quite clearly a buffoon. I merely want to talk about my specific version of what this sort of spin-off could be. Keep in mind, my idea wasn't quite up to date with certain revelations that may or may not have unfolded in RE8. But fret not, the simple solution is to set this earlier in the timeline. Post RE6, but pre-RE7. Got it? Good. The story, and therefore all gameplay, is centered around the BSAA. The basic gist of the XCOM formula is the same. You create troops, level them up, research shit, deploy globally, etc. Rather than an entire alien race serving as an antagonist, the BSAA just exists in a world where horrible viruses and other bioweapons are being sold on the black market, resulting in bioterror attacks happening on a near constant basis all around the world. All around the world, bad shit happens to me. Resident Evil fans can imagine the possibilities here, and what sort of enemies we'd be fighting.
Rolling out. Shot wide.
Zombies, tyrants, Las Plagas. The greatest hits from the whole series should be here to some degree. In my opinion, I like the idea of each outbreak having its own self-contained stories told through scattered notes and files, not so differently than the main games, as we learn about an individual or group who carried out the viral attack for unique reasons. I feel that would add an additional sense of uniqueness to each deployment. But if Capcom were to run with this game, they could easily tie in an overarching plot involving the connections or some other shit. Rest assured, it'd be my personal goal to use this game to tie up lots of dangling plot threads from the series. Who or what exactly was HCF? And what were their goals? What did they do with Steve's body, etc.? I'd want to tackle seemingly abandoned plots from other spin-offs too, like what are Jessica and Raymond up to? That sort of thing. I think that's enough context and story talk for now. Let's get down to brass tacks. What would we be doing during gameplay? And how could we differentiate the game from XCOM? Well, we add as much Resident Evil flavor as we can. As with other games in the genre, a deployment could be one of several mission types. After all, not every BSAA team is being sent to track down a mad scientist and fight a large boss. Sometimes you're sending your team to save civilians from an outbreak zone.
Copy that. Come on.
I'm on it.
Xcom already has civilian rescue missions, but mine would be a bit different. For one, my civilians would not be made of paper mache. They'd be slightly more durable, specifically because there's an infection component here. Every attack they suffer from BOW enemies carries a percentage of risk for infection. Once infected, an RE outbreak-like viral meter activates for the infected civilian. Every subsequent turn increases their rate of infection. If that meter fills before you can extract them from the zone, they'll turn into whatever BOW is appropriate based on the virus.
All right, we got it.
Extract them before it maxes out, and they get transported back to base and earn you some rewards. But there's a catch. During a mission, killing BOWs made from a virus earns you samples of that same virus to take back to base. T Veronica, G, hell, let's get the whole damn alphabet up in here. Even various types of parasites like Nemesis or Las Plagas, etc. Collecting more and more of these samples allows your home base to develop stronger vaccines to counteract each infection, which you'll need since each infected civilian you extract to home base leads to a chance of an outbreak event occurring there. Suddenly, all of your staff, soldiers, and resources are at risk. A home outbreak event at the base leads to a deployment within the base. Probably the most stressful mission type you can have. You're still just controlling your typical team of around 5 soldiers, but now everyone else you've collected will appear as NPCs during battle. NPCs that are being attacked, just like you, and possibly turned. As a mission, your base would be broken up into multiple combat zones. Barracks, infirmary, laboratory, R&D, etc. You'd have to choose the order in which you clear these zones. Your scientists don't have weapons training and are basically defenseless, not to mention the value of their research. Do you head to the labs first to wipe out the enemies before the scientists are turned? Oh, your favorite soldiers are temporarily recovering from injuries in the infirmary. Do you head there first to ensure their safety? Sure, they can use weapons, but injured soldiers are prone to panic and other status ailments, not to mention handicaps. So are the odds really in their favor? No matter what, you're going to suffer losses during a home outbreak event. The objective is simply to minimize it, or ensure it doesn't happen at all. Maybe that infected civilian is too much of a liability. It adds to the choices you'll be making while playing. Much of your time will be spent in small outbreak zones, saving civilians, raising your support levels from various countries, and earning resources for weapons or armor development. Like Xcom, but large-scale outbreak zones are the main event. Large-scale outbreak zones would, in addition to being on a large map, feature the most complex backstories and plots, as well as ending with a boss fight. However, as with every good RE game, these missions also have some secrets to uncover. Achieving a series of set objectives within each large-scale outbreak zone leads to one of several fan-favorite characters deploying into the mission and joining your squad, whether it's Chris, Jill, Sheva, or even Leon on temporary loan from the government. These heroes feature impressive stats and come equipped with powerful weapons. More than that, they have an important extra ability. Having been through all the tropes of the series previously, these heroes are more privy to the kinds of secrets and puzzles bioterrorists tend to use. I imagine the activation of this ability looking like Batman's detective vision from the Arkham games, highlighting otherwise undetected triggers or passages in the mission environment. This is important specifically because each large-scale outbreak zone would feature a hidden second section, which unlocks when a hero finds the entrance. This entrance would typically lead to an underground lab, from which the outbreak originated.
I'm all over it. I can't move!
Proceeding through the section would then lead to an encounter with a villain or giant monster, or a villain who mutates into a giant monster. And hell, for more of that Resident Evil flavor, why not end with an escape from a self-destruct timer? To recap, large-scale outbreak zones could be quote-unquote won without the deployment of a hero. But to get the true ending of the game, you would have to fully clear each large-scale outbreak zone with the use of a hero, which you'd want to do anyway to get more rewards. Without getting too bogged down into the exact story details, I did mention earlier that I'd like to tie up as many loose ends as possible. That includes specific characters who we know are just out there somewhere, drifting in the wind, waiting for the day Capcom writers remember they exist. Well, Pepperidge Farm remembers. So throughout the game, you'd be presented with missions based around arresting certain antagonistic characters. Hunk, Jessica, Raymond, etc. Hell, maybe even that science dork named Gorgon who we see in RE3 Remake's intro. He looks very punchable, just saying. These would be similar in nature to Xcom's kill or subdue VIP missions, though I do want to tread carefully here for the sake of canon. The objective at the start of these missions would be to simply arrest these high-profile targets. Whether they surrender to capture or fight till a more bitter end would, frankly, be up to each specific target. A self-serving individual like Jessica may opt to be arrested in hopes she can escape later or make some type of deal. A trained soldier like Hunk, on the other hand, might just go out in a blaze of glory during a crazy last stand. I think it'd be fun to even have a mission featuring Ada Wong. She's been tracked down by the BSAA and you're tasked with catching her. Maybe with Leon tagging along, cause hell, we know how much Capcom loves to blueball the guy. Even after beating her in a boss battle, would you expect her to give up? No, she'd of course escape. I don't know, maybe that sounds lame to you guys, but I like the idea of these targeted assignments being unpredictable no matter your intention to win in the beginning. Now, as I continue to draft this idea for my Perfect RE spinoff, I can't help but think of additional features. Multiple endings are common in the series, and as mentioned earlier, I'd want that to be true here as well. Let's say you successfully win all large-scale outbreak zones, but didn't 100% them by using the heroes to find the secret boss. And you successfully completed every targeted assignment. Oh, and the world didn't collapse into a dumpster fire. You'd earn the good ending. Doing all of the above, but actually 100%ing the large scales using the heroes, would earn you the true good plus ending. Good job. And let's say you have the strategic mind of a blind, one-winged goose, and therefore the world collectively dies a horrible death. Well, that, my friends, unlocks the complete global saturation ending. Hell, this wouldn't even be canon anyway, so why not have some fun with this one? After the credits show a very much alive Wesker watching gory news footage from the comfort of a bubble bath, with an accompanying rubber ducky, of course. He's wearing sunglasses, and so is the rubber ducky. He then laughs, gives a smile, and maybe even gives the rubber ducky a victorious squeeze. But aside from all that, there's one extra path I'd like to include, with the limitless budget within my mind. Xcom has a mechanic where you can sell resources on the black market for quick cash, rather than using them for research. In my spin-off here, I'd offer something similar, but maybe expanded a bit. Yes, you, the player, as a high-ranking member of the BSAA, would be able to sell virus and parasite samples for quick cash. But maybe this affects your game. Maybe selling a ton of Las Plagas samples throughout your game, for example, causes smart gun-wielding ganados to become more prevalent in missions, replacing what might otherwise be zombies by default. And heaven forbid you sold off a bunch of Nemesis parasites. Oh boy. And perhaps hitting a certain threshold of black market sales would cause other changes. Maybe a targeted assignment would end with a bribe instead of an arrest. Actions like these would lead to an additional ending. The greedy ending, let's call it. Basically, I'm saying the RE franchise has the potential to adopt other genres, and this is just one such idea. These days, there aren't enough turn-based strategy games with a decent budget to back them up, and RE, with so much of its characters being trained soldiers, ex-cops, or generalized ass-kickers, can slot so easily into that genre and bring a complex story with it. But this is just one of the ideas bouncing around in my head. What sort of spin-off would you guys like to see? Let me know in the comments so we can share the misery over the fact that these things don't exist. I, for one, would also love a spin-off series, kind of Revelations-esque, perhaps with a lower budget, but with gameplay from the old fixed camera perspective with tank controls. I know, that's a pipe dream. But that's all I got for you guys today. Sadly, I had to cut this down to a digestible length, so a lot of fun stuff got cut out. Like, imagine how the various BOWs could interact and play off of each other. Like when RE Damnation had lickers controlled through the use of Las Plagas. Imagine an advanced Nemesis leading a death squad of tyrants. Just saying. I'm baffled. and hope to see you guys next time. Bye. All around the world, bad shit happens to me. Who knows how long I'll make it? Everyone I know's been mutated, you see. 25 years old, my partner, God rest her soul. I don't wanna die. No, don't you bite me, baby. No, don't you bite me, baby. I don't wanna die. No, don't you bite me, baby. No, don't you bite me, baby. I don't want to die. Why do I do this stupid shit?